Okay,
All right.
thank you. Clarifying the alcohol tax.
Yeah.
How much does that raise? And is it revenue dedicated to the
The revenue is not dedicated, but to put the alcohol tax in perspective, I'm so glad you asked that because there's a lot of misunderstanding of what's going on, and we really ask you to look at the information we provided. I have it at my desk. It is a 7 cents per drink. That's true whether it's beer, wine, or hard liquor. It is not, as people are saying, $3 or $4 a 12 pack. It is 7 cents. That's 84 cents. So what does that do? It creates about $400 million, and the cost to the Minnesota budget right now for alcohol is about $3 billion a year. So that 400 doesn't begin to offset the $3 billion in the Minnesota state government cost. So what we're asking, think about it as a gas tax, think about it as a fishing license. What we generally do here, good tax policy says, if somebody's using something a lot, we want first that user to chip in before we ask the general public. So we ask anglers to buy a fishing license. We don't pay for all of that in the general fund. And so if you fish, you have to buy that license. If you buy a lot of gas, you pay more because it's a user fee, it's an excise tax, it's a volume tax. So this is very similar. If you consume large amounts of alcohol, then this is a discretionary purchase, no one's forcing you to buy it, you'll pay 7 cents. So I think the way to think about it is if you drink, maybe three drinks a week, you're looking at about $8 to $10 a year. If you're drinking 4 drinks a day, you're maybe looking at $75 to $100 a year. So that's the reality. It's a user fee. It's designed that way. We do know the information we have says about 80% of Minnesotans actually drink less than 1 drink a day.
Why are those numbers accurate and the brewers are saying it's double that?
I guess I would ask you to ask them why they feel that they need to extract a pound of flesh out of their consumers that they're telling us that they care about. There is nothing in the bill that asks them to pass on anything other than 7 cents. If somebody's going to charge, if a 12-pack of beer was $12 and it's now going to be $12.84, if it's going to be more than that, then they need to ask the people who are brewing and creating and distributing the wholesalers why they're earning a profit off their customers. There is nothing in the bill that makes them do that. If the folks involved in the liquor industry want to get a little profit off their customers because they're hiding behind a user fee that has not been raised in 26 years, I think you need to ask all of them why they're choosing to go after their customers, because that's not required in the law.
They argue they use that profit to reinvest in their businesses and hire workers and this.
Well, that's great, but that's their choice is the point. I mean, of course businesses are going to want to reinvest in their businesses, but they're making a profit not only on the cost that they put into it, they're making a profit on the tax. And so, and if they want to do that, that's their choice, but they shouldn't be putting that on the legislature.
Then why not just put the tax at the retail level when you buy the drink, charge the 7 cents then?
We could do that. I mean, they oppose that too, just so you know. And that's been done in the past, and the excise tax has not been raised in 26 years. I challenge anyone standing right now to tell me which tax has not been raised in 26 years. It's a very modest 7-cent tax. If you go out with your spouse tonight and have not just 1 glass of wine, but 2, 14 cents. 14 cents. If somebody's charging you more than that, they're just making a profit, and you need to ask those folks why they would be bilking their customers. I have no idea. There is nothing in the law that requires anybody to do more than 7 cents.
Are you hoping any new income tax revenue from anybody below the high range? Are anybody in the lower tiers going to be paying any more at all?
There's actually a moderate income tax cut for all married filers if you earn under $400,000, because we're going to fully federal conform to the married standard deduction. So you have to hit $400,000 to have the 4th tier, and $500 to the 5th tier. Below that, many people will see a small income tax cut. It's fairly small, so we're not going to overplay that and talk about the income tax cut for everybody under $500. But for married filers, there is a reduction.
Is this tax bill going to have any influence on the project?
The proposal's in there, and I think the Senate is very similar, so I think the two bodies are kind of speaking very similar with one voice on where they want to see that project go, which is to protect Minnesota taxpayers, ask the mayor to contribute more than they expected, ask the local units of government to contribute more than they expected, but the accountability really relies in that the state money is not flowed down to the locals until the Mayo has shown the investments on the private side of the ledger that they say they're going to do.
Any comment on the action in Senate Tax Committee this morning to put the capital renovation costs into their tax bill and pay for them in cash, in lieu apparently of doing it through bonding as you?
I think that the right answer is what we've talked about for 2 years now, that Senator Bach has supported for 2 years, which is the bond for that proposal. If we pay it in cash, that means that we can't invest in education and other things right now. So, but that's going to be part of the discussion we have going forward. Now, I have actually not talked to the Senate about their logic behind that, and I look forward to having that conversation.
Does that indicate that the prospects of a bonding bill this session are lessened that the Senate is interested?
I really don't think so. It's a great bill.
It is a great bill. The amendments generally are the attempt to divide folks by saying we're going to prefer these cities over those cities, or these sort of taxpayers over those sort of taxpayers. They're mostly regional amendments. It's the same old song people have seen around here before. This bill was designed with the work of Chair Dabney and his committee to really say all Minnesotans should get some property tax relief, and that's city aids, county aids, increased homestead property tax refunds to return what was lost in the elimination of the homestead credit and renter's credit. And so there are a number of amendments to dissemble that, and they often fall along political lines. It's disappointing to see people sort of play the D versus R game as far as property tax relief. We're trying to provide property tax relief to all Minnesotans no matter how they vote.
And it's exactly the kind of, I think, politics Minnesotans rejected last time, which is to try to divide Minnesotans from each other instead of trying to come together as a united front.
Mr. Speaker, if this inevitably goes to conference committee, how strongly will you fight against the clothing tax and the consumer services tax that's in the Senate bill?
Well, we think our tax bill is a very strong tax bill. We believe that it represents what we ran on and the values that we bring to this legislative process and the budgeting process. Obviously there's going to have to be a discussion going forward, but you'll note that the clothing tax is not in our tax bill.